Welcome, everybody, to the Synapse Philosophy Group. We are on D.D. Palmer's 1910, page 6. And we've been breaking it down and having a lot of fun with this. And, I say fun, but really it's transformation. I'm getting a lot of information, and, I hope everybody else is too. And we're going to start on page 6. Anybody have any new news, information, or anything else you'd like to share before we start? I will take that as a no, and I will continue forward. Barry and Alan, I'm trying to catch up to you guys. I'm far off, far away, but, I'm working on a DD beard. Yeah,
years of practice.
I got practice. Got to practice it. There we go. The philosophy of chiropractic teaches the universality of intelligence, and that its aim is always onward and upward toward perfection. This truth makes the practice of chiropractic a moral and religious duty, both in theory and in fact. I think we should say something about that. Moral and religious duty. He said that so many times now. It's a chapter title. And, if it's not your religious duty, if this isn't align with you and in what your spiritual practices, or if you have none at all, it's your moral duty is what he's saying. The philosophy of chiropractic teaches the universality of intelligence, onward and upward. Why will this truth make the practice of chiropractic a moral and religious duty, both in theory and in fact?
Well, that's what he goes into in the next paragraph.
Yes, I know. But before we read forward, let's use our intellect and think about what we've read so far.
I would love to attend this university. Sorry, we are in this university. I love the use of the word universality of intelligence. There's consciousness in this matter, and there's consciousness in us. And we naturally know what's right to do. And therefore, it is our duty in knowing and what's right and what's in order for humanity, for the earth to move forward. And the Native American Indians got this in the United States. They respected Mother Nature, the seasons. They knew it was for generations. They looked at generations 7, 8 decades ahead of time, not just 1 or 2. And this is DD talking about, you guys know, this is it. Here are the answers.
Yeah. Keep moving
This
forward.
This is also one of the first, I think, mentions of universality of intelligence is universal intelligence is being annotated here. Because he doesn't talk about universal and innate that much, but that's what this is. This is saying universality of intelligence. This is a momentous phrase here.
So it's our first introduction. Basically, we're going to get into the universality of intelligence, universal intelligence, innate intelligence, setting our stage, right? Awesome. Steve, great to see you. Religion may be objective in its character. As a cult, it consists of the rites and ceremonies pertaining to the worship of a deity, and only known by external devotional acts of reverence. Subjective religion includes the moral and religious duty, the inner intellectual feeling, the science which treats of the existence, character, and attributes of God and his laws regarding our duty towards him. The former is that of theology. It includes the particular modes of divine worship which belong to and make the special distinction of tribes, nations, and communities. The latter is ethical religion and deals only with positives, existing phenomena, properties which are knowable, together with their invariable relations of coexistence and succession, a belief in magic, the assistance of secret forces in nature, constitutes the essential of objective religion. The supernormal, the mysterious potency hidden from the understanding, the supernatural, the occult secret potency hidden from the occult secret power, is the original, the basic element, the morbid outgrowth of subjective religion. Chiropractors deal only with the moral obligations and subjective ethical religion. There's a lot going on there. And just even the word ethics, I think we should spend more time in chiropractic school itself in studying ethics. Truly do. Okay, that was my 2 cents on that. What do you guys get out of that? Alan, you said it's up in this next paragraph. What did you extrapolate?
I just was saying that he talks about religion in this paragraph. That's our only place I was going there. But chiropractors only deal with moral obligations and subjective ethical religion. Ethical religion deals with positives, existing phenomenon, properties which are knowable, together with their invariable relations of coexistence and succession.
Yeah. You know what? I think he's really kind of giving us a discernment between cult and religion too. That's why he mentioned that, like, cults in the beginning. As a cult, it consists of the rites and ceremonies pertaining to the worship of the deity. I don't know how cults were back in those days, whatever. I don't know that level of history about it, which I think is actually, I'm kind of curious now, because it's almost like a powerful word, or it means, is it negative or positive? I'm not really sure anymore.
It seems like to me that he's also separating that this power that subjectively people acknowledge on the weekends, also the world understands it. However, chiropractors are owning it and recognizing it. That power is inside during the week, whether you think about it or not. It's flowing, it's occurring. It seems like he's separating this, that there is this unknown power, and he's talking to us, humanity, cults, people, tribes have worshipped it, where we reverence it because we're looking at it within the body, science at work.
The intangible portion of the being. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Marvelous.
He's separating a religious, he's separating chiropractic from religious belief. He said there's a moral responsibility here, but religions where is it? The
very
religious
next
duty,
paragraph.
intellectual feeling is science which treats the existence of character. I'm not finding what I want here. Our duty toward him, the attributes of God, his laws, and regarding our duty toward him. So this is saying religion deals with something smaller than chiropractic deals with. Chiropractic deals with a bigger image of function and progress in the world.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to read the next sentence because this is the one he's nailing it home, right? I do not propose to change chiropractic, either in its science, art, or philosophy into a religion. The moral and religious duty of a chiropractor are not synonymous with the science, art, and philosophy, important, of chiropractic. There's a vast difference between a theological religion and a religious duty. Between the precepts and practices of religion and that of chiropractic, a person may be a conscientious devotee of any theological creed and yet be a strict, upright, exalted, principled practitioner of chiropractic. I think I might post that line right there. That's a good one.
It really is. That stood out to me. That's the first time that I've seen the word principled used Like as far as people say, hey, when did we start calling each other principled chiropractors? Our generation think of DE, and then of course we think about the green books. Well, here's DD and page number 6 of the chiropractor saying that word. And also, hey, this is going down to what you said earlier. Here's the ethics of it. You could choose by religion or not. However, in this universe, there are laws, and ethically, you want to obey those laws, or else there's going to be consequences. So this is also into the ethics of this: is do what's right, not only for the religious side of it, but also the universality side of it, like Alan was talking about.
And this is inviting instead of separating, where I think a lot of people feel separated from the spiritual side of chiropractic, and where he's saying, listen, it's not about your theology, right? I'm typing this out as I'm speaking, and I apologize because I think it's so good, and I want to add it. So, devotee of a theological religion or creed, chiropractic religion, the religion of chiropractic and the religious duty of a chiropractor are one and the same. Now, there's nowhere else I've ever read that in any of these books or any green book about chiropractic religion, and the religion of chiropractic, and the religious duty I've read from here of a chiropractor are one and the same. Do you think those things have any significance? I don't think so. I don't know if it's going to change my perception of chiropractic from those things, or is he setting us up for potential in the future if it needs to be, to protect it?
We want to be aware of that. Well, like you said earlier, the no religion interferes with the ability of a chiropractor to perform and be a chiropractor.
Yeah.
That
right.
It's bigger than that is the point.
It's bigger than that.
There's that we're working with the power of the universe to allow it to be fully expressed and allow for the progress to occur in humankind at all, if you will. I haven't figured out how to adjust a tree, but people do certainly adjust animals. I have friends that my friend Bruce Indek has a major animal practice up in New England, but and travels to animal shows all over the country actually. But it allows for the fuller expression of universal intelligence as it exists within living things, is what we do, and not limited by the concepts that may be put on it by other subjective religion, as he mentions earlier.
Alan's making this really clear to me because this is D.D. Palmer's second book. Early on, and this is 1910, and he's saying to us, to the world, okay, we are using these powers of a religion, but this isn't chiropractic, the religion, like a Baptist is, like a Methodist is. This is all of us. And that's what Alan's explaining this real simple, that D.D.'s announcing this thing called chiropractic. It has the power of the universe. It has the power that religions acknowledge. However, any of us in any religion can actually practice this thing.
Yeah.
We're talking about organized religion, and then we're talking about, you break down religion. Re means again, and legios comes from connecting. And that's what we do.
I like that. I like that a lot. Pasquale used to do that a lot. Break down the words. What's the origin of it? What does it really mean? There's so much power in that. I absolutely love that. I'm going to just go back one little bit where it says exalted principled practitioner of chiropractic. I mean, I really think that is, people doing a principled chiropractic really, to me, in my mind, are exalted raised to a different level. I don't know if you want to say higher in reality, but I think so. I mean, maybe it does fit, because exalted principled practitioner of chiropractic. I think I should put that. We should all put that in our names under our cards right there. You're the exalted one.
Well, isn't that your experience when you're in the office most of the time?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you're pushed above, you know. I knew a DJ, his name was the fabulous DJ Dimitri. And I called him Dimitri once, and he said, it's the fabulous DJ Dimitri. Like, he was serious. So I think you should be the exalted Barry Hobbs, Dr. Barry Hobbs. Absolutely. An exalted Alan Lecter, an exalted Stephen Shargell, an exalted Haig John.
Declare it. Declare it. You are.
Declare it. There you go. Absolutely. I like it. All right. I want to read this part about Willard Carver. Okay. Willard Carver, DC, asks, do you believe it wise to demonstrate chiropractic as a religion? Dominate?
Denominate.
Yeah. Do you believe it is wise to denominate chiropractic as a religion? This question is equal to asking a physician, do you believe it wise to denominate medicine, not the practice, as a religion? Not the practice is in parentheses, as a religion. Webster's Dictionary's latest edition, date 1910. So this gives us a little clue of when this is written, right? Before 1914, gives near the bottom of page 1801, fifth column, the Latin phrase religio medici, meaning, and I've heard that before, a physician's religion. Has not a chiropractor as much right to a religion as a practitioner of medicine? Is not chiro religio as consistent and comprehensible as religio medici? Or a medici, maybe. Do we still feel like we're second-rate citizens? The world out there, you know, I don't have people often say things like, real doctors anymore. Like, I went to the real doctor. They used to get it, 10, 15 years ago, or, you don't hear the cracks upon the cracks on chiropractic. I didn't even realize that one. But, people cracking on chiropractors. I'm going to use that more often now. But you don't hear it as much. I think we've transcended that. We're in a new season as chiropractors. From when Alan graduated to Barry, and from Stephen to Haig, me, we all have a different timeline. You guys graduated a little bit before I did, and Alan and Stephen maybe a little bit before Barry, and times are changing, and I think the perception and understanding, because more people's lives have been touched by chiropractors.
I had in my office, when I opened my office in 1983, my sister made a needlepoint of a duck rampant for me that I hung in my office because the joke was the chiropractors are quacks, and I just confronted it by putting a duck rampant needlepoint on the wall in my office.
That's great. Sisters. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, we've got it good. And that's the thing. We've kind of just gotten fat and happy and a little lazy as chiropractors, I have to say. We're the warriors. And, the fundamentalists of chiropractic. We're these, we're all right here on this computer, but there are a lot of them out there. We're out there and doing the work. And, people need to know more about chiropractic. And these old guys, you hear about some of these, I think it was Herbert Ross Reaver. He was adjusting until he was in his late 90s, and I think he died in his office, maybe giving an adjustment. Before that, and I've mentioned this, I think it was Sigafust. You can find it on YouTube. And he asked Reaver, why are you still adjusting people? You're in your 90s. You don't have to be here. He said, every day I have a chance to teach somebody about innate. It's the spirit within, And how is that different from really a religion of someone teaching someone about Buddhism? a monk traveling around the country. I've fed many a monk, honestly, and that were traveling around just making their way, teaching people about Buddhism. A Christian teaching people about Christ. The Mormons on their mission to teach people, Jews and whomever, all these religions going out. And I feel it's our moral duty to teach people about, if you want to just think about it in a common sense, their own strength, right? That's what innate really is your inner strength, your life's ability to heal itself. And, a consciousness to, a child that believes it is like, absolutely, my body heals, compared to an adult that's been trained, that has been beaten out of some of us. What is it?
Brainwashed,
yeah, programmed, all those things. So it has become more of our duty, I think, right?
Well, I think that we need to do. Unfortunately, so many chiropractors don't understand this aspect of it and the philosophical concept of the spirituality that is part of chiropractic. Yeah. That I think patients, practice members are willing to accept it when it's presented in an appropriate way. And there has to be some, people are going to rebel against that in some ways, but there are ways to talk about, nobody's going to argue with the power that made the body heals the body. And we're just trying to let it work. There's things that ways that it can be phrased that allow people to, your practice members to accept it, and then you can expand as time goes on with them. But I think so many chiropractors now are lost in the treatment of symptoms and don't understand how that works. And as far as chiropractic is concerned, they've become religio medici instead of religio chiropractic.
That's it. Yeah, I like that.
It seems like, and I'm so honored to be on this call, because it seems like the more that I'm on here and I talk about DD, and it's like any character in life, or whenever you do research on a subject matter or somebody, they become you become them. And this man really had an extremely hard life. Right now, he's on his fourth wife. He's in California. He's been arrested multiple times. He's on his sixth school. His son is super successful in Davenport. He was given this responsibility of chiropractic. He's gotten, ran over by some of his best friends. He almost died in a train wreck. I mean, the list goes on and on. But think about the last time in Davenport when he left, he sat out for 105 days because he wasn't in the practice of medicine. So 105 days in jail in Davenport. And we complain about our chiropractic, and like we're saying, we got it easy. These men and women literally were arrested. It was illegal. It was the practice of medicine. And when you were in jail, and you're still trying to make a living and a family and kids. I mean, he had 4 children, and one of them, we know, BJ, took over the school. Just so much was going on within 15, 20 years of his life. A foreign man from a foreign world, traveling during the age of horse and buggy, yet super intelligent, super gifted.
I mean, just that, what you just said, that paragraph, and honoring him, just think about it, just being a human being ourselves, the men on this, the women, and everybody listening to this, just think about how much it takes to do that. I mean, all that Barry just said, I mean, it's truly amazing. Was it 109 days? I didn't know that.
I believe it was 109 or 105. Yeah, we get a letter from the state. We're all up in arms, right? They were being arrested.
I was mad because YouTube took my orientation down, my chiropractic talk. They took it down off of YouTube, and I got really mad.
Yeah,
I didn't go to jail.
Right. It's censorship. So he's leaving Portland, Oregon. He was there for 2 years with his wife, was there with some friends, started a school, and they messed him over. And BJ and Mabel were friends with that couple. And then you had the family feud going on. And then he left there and he's in California. And then BJ and Mabel are coming to California to visit F.W. Elliott, who knows D.D. Palmer, who's neighbors with him, but they're not talking to each other, father and son, and they're in the same place. Just this turmoil and personality and the corporation and the business and establishing chiropractic philosophically, scientifically, and artistically. What a challenge this person had. What a challenge.
Carl Cleveland, C3, talks about, and I may not have this story entirely correct, but I as I remember it, he told a story about that they were his parents, his dad, Carl, also was, he's the third generation chiropractor, C1, C2, C3, they call him, right? And that they had like a thing that they could, I think he said they could see the feet of people that would come to the door of the house. And he was told, never open the door for people, a man wearing shiny shoes, because they were afraid of being arrested. They said, that's going to be the police. They're going to be knocking on the door to arrest Dad. Don't open the door.
It's just amazing.
There's most of that I know is right as the story, but I don't remember exactly how they could tell, the shoes, but I remember something about the shoes and not opening the door. But yeah, I mean, and that wasn't that long ago. That was that was within my lifetime.
Yeah. And Dee had this phaeton and the Surrey, so maybe he used those to get away, and that could be a reason.
That's it. Oh my gosh, the Satan, and what were the horses? Oh, I can't remember.
Nip and Tuck. And the phaeton and the Surrey. Yeah.
That's it. Just what you just talked about too, why was, he was having the trouble with BJ, troubles with his, the people in Oregon or Los Angeles, and then BJ coming out there to visit, and just stirring the pot, really what it seems like it's all about, just stirring the pot, pissing your dad off, oh man, it doesn't end. I went to Life University, had this thing when Guy Reekman was president, and it was like, it was some type of orientation for chiropractors to refer. And they showed a video of somebody, gets up in a concert and they're dancing, and then, someone started laughing, but what he really did was start everybody dancing. And it's just the first crazy one to start the action. And then it's the second guy that, turns the crowd on and gets everybody moving. And in reality, I thought of BJ and D.D. Palmer throughout this whole thing. D.D., I mean, he was extremely successful on his own. BJ, not having to go through the strife that his father really had to go through. He didn't have to go through that turmoil. He could take it and then run with it and make something amazing. Whatever their personal things were together is something else. Also standing on the shoulder of the giant, really. I mean, I'm just in awe. I can't help it. I'm in so much awe of D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer, truly, because, look how far along. And they just did the centennial at Cleveland, 100 years. And I watched Carl Cleveland's his talk. He did an interview. I went to Cleveland for one trimester and then went back to Life when we had the accreditation thing. And I got to know Dr. Cleveland a little bit.
You were there then?
Huh?
You were at Life during the accreditation issue?
Yes, I was.
I was fighting for you.
And I was fighting for my life.
I was fighting with CCE.
But I used to go sit in his philosophy classes. I didn't have to take the philosophy, but I thought, this guy's flying from Kansas City on Tuesday, LA on Thursday to teach those two classes every week. And I got a lot out of it. And it was amazing just being there with them. But they just celebrated 100 years. 100 years of a corporation is a big deal, of any company surviving. And then think about BJ or DD and BJ and Chiropractic, these 100 plus years. It's just amazing that we're really as powerful as we are. And I'm excited about it because we don't have a very homogenous, we don't have a ruling group. We don't have, And there's nobody that currently represents me, quite honestly, in any of the associations, okay, that are national, okay? So it's surprising that we still have some level of unity. And I think it's the subluxation that keeps us together, even with the subluxation deniers. The subluxation in reality is our unity of it. So that's my thought.
I'm going to put in a plug, even though you say none of the associations represent you. As a former rep and officer of the RA and ICA, I think it's coming back around. It had lost some of its focus. I think it's coming back around, but it needs people like you to participate to allow it to continue to grow. I mean, if you go to DE, and there's a lot of DE people that are trying to, correct its course. And I don't want to go down a long line about politics and ICA and FSCO and ACA and all that stuff. That's not what we're here for.
No, we're not. And I just want to say I am an ICA member, and I am on the board for the Florida Chiropractic Society, and that's a state board. I'm talking national board, and ICA is really the one that is the closest. And we support all these groups financially. If there's a group you don't believe in, you don't support them financially, or which is membership, right? But I agree with you 100%, Alan, and I'm excited for the ICA. I see great things in the future for sure.
And
From
Brian,
a lot of
Brian Moriarty is an officer, and he's doing his best. So
yep, and Steve Judson and a few others. Brian Lieberman is he as well too. Andy Harding.
We have a little group. We call ourselves the ICA Patriots.
Yeah.
And we have a Facebook group where we talk to each other as a group.
Well, what we should also be doing is this should go out to the membership. Let's add some value. Send it out to the membership twice a month, right? Give them some value, get them back on track, because most of the membership, even in the ACA, I've met a lot of interviewing 100 chiropractors this past year. I've met a lot of ACA members that were very principled in chiropractic, and they just joined because their friends were there. And I'm drawing lines, ACA, ICA. I don't mean to do that right now, but principle is within the person, right? All right, I'm going to move on.
I was just saying, let's get this at least one more paragraph done here.
Well, this one more paragraph's only one line.
Well, I was going to get to the whole next sentence before we get to Carlin and the next page.
I will.
But that's good.
Do you believe it wise to denominate chiropractic as a religion? To denominate is to name, to designate, specify, or characterize. Wherein have I expressed a desire to rename the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic? In what sentence have I designated chiropractic by any other distinctive title than that by which it is now known? In what paragraph have I specified or characterized chiropractic as a religion? The science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic is one thing. The moral and religious duty of a chiropractor is a different proposition. The founder, the fountainhead, the creator, the originator, the developer, the one who named the science, art, and philosophy of vertebral adjusting, says emphatically, it is not wise to denominate chiropractic by any other name or title than the one by which it is known the world over.
He's being real clear that he says chiropractic is chiropractic. It's not a religion. It's not medicine. There are philosophical and spiritual connections here, but it's not. Chiropractic is chiropractic, independent and separate from all that other stuff, from both religion and medicine. They're here. We're running down the road between the two of them.
That's it. He draws the line in the sand. I have not. You say I have, you prove it. I have not called it by anything but what it is, the one thing that it always has been. That is it. Enough said.
He goes because what he's doing there is he's going back and repeating Carver's question again, and then giving it a more direct and very clear answer, and saying, "This is it, separate and distinct."
Read that one. Read it, Alan. Go ahead and read it.
What he said, Carver's question was, "Do you believe it wise to denominate chiropractic as a religion?" And he says, "To denominate is to name, designate, specify, or characterize. The science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic is one thing. The moral and religious duty of a chiropractor is a different proposition. We have a moral duty because we answer to a higher power that is in all things."
Yeah.
But what we're doing in chiropractic is not medicine, and it's not a religion. We don't do it to connect with God. We're just allowing the force that we are working with what we can work with to allow the expression.
He's not saying revere God, revere chiropractic. He's not talking about praying to chiropractic. We're adjusting, we're honoring that amazing spiritual intelligence within each being. Would you agree with that?
I think it goes back to one of the things Barry was talking about earlier on, that Native Americans and other spiritual groups around the world have a bigger concept of spirituality in all things than Western religion seems to foster. It's not that it's not there. They just seem to Western religions seem to have narrowed it down to a smaller area for their focus. But that chiropractic is willing to accept a broader concept of the presence of an intelligence in all things, and in living things is where we get to do our part to allow the expression of that intelligence where it's being interfered with its expression.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that chiropractic is the application of the universal intelligence or the application of religion? I would. Not the organized religion. No, the religios, the reconnection. It's the application of the restoring the link between the non-physical intelligence and the body.
What do you guys think?
If you're breaking it down to what is it called? Entomology, right? The study of where the words are. Yeah, we're reconnectors, right? Spiritual to matter, spiritual to physical.
That's where we stay, right there, in between the spiritual and the material. Not in between, but we are the link.
Yeah. And yes, and Dee Dee here is really isolating and saying we're not, we're separate of that. I'm going to add to this. Notice that he puts in Fountainhead, and I believe Haig and I had talked about this past week. There's a difference between the Fountainhead, which some people think is Palmer College or Davenport, and there's also the Fountainhead. Alan, I see you thinking there. So he says the founder, the fountain space head, as in him personally, not a place or a school. So add this to the fun of our history and the Palmer and chiropractic saga, because we are exalted chiropractors, right?
Absolutely exalted one. All right, the Grand Poobah, and that is awesome. Alan, you got something?
I'm still perking around the things that Stephen said, and I see what your point is, Steve. The power is the intelligence is present, whether we're reconnecting it or not. It's there and flowing. We look for areas where there may be disruptions of the natural flow. Well, we don't make the creek run when there's a bunch of water, when there's a bunch of stones across it that are blocking it. But if we move one of the stones, the creek is running.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that we are physically applying something for the reason of, the spirituality has an application. And that's what we are. We are applying some, I don't know how to, words are hard, but religion, you go to church, you pray. We don't pray. We move, we introduce a concussion of force. It's an application in order for innate to be expressed.
I think that's where, if that is what your calling is as your religious duty, to connect man to God through the adjustment, and I see that as a valid point, even where he's saying, if this is not, make it your moral duty. So I see what you're trying to say.
Moral duty is to allow the natural flow to occur.
Well, it's also a definition of what is living right now. It is the merging of the non-physical with the physical. And that's what we stand for.
Okay. I like that. Christian, glad you joined us. I have more. My translator, we have added a lot more videos with Spanish subtitles. And I did the 33 principles. I'm starting right now from our last one from the senior text. And I have a surprise. That's where we're going to again after this book, and break down the 33 again, which I think is powerful. But we're putting what we've done already with Spanish subtitles. And we have a lot of that also with Portuguese subtitles as well. So
I hope we're not leaving this book yet.
We're not leaving this book yet. We're going to do the whole thing this time.
Here's something else.
It may take us a long time at the rate we're going.
There's something else. I speak with a lot of people who are religious or spiritual, yoga types, Course in Miracles types, Buddhist types, and there tends to be, even among them, a separation between the spiritual world and the physical world. Like the physical is not really real because it doesn't last. Whereas us chiropractors are here to be the spokesman of we're neither one nor the other, but the blending. That's exciting. It never has lost its excitement.
I agree with you, Stephen. And that's where he keeps saying that in here. I mean, there's a lot of power behind that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the focus is on this life here.
And what he's saying, and the spirit needs the material. The material needs the spiritual. You don't read that anywhere else.
I know. And most people don't really express that.
And I think that's a very important factor, Steve. Thank you for that.
We need to repeat that all the time.
It's unique to chiropractic, I would say. I don't think I've read it anywhere. And I read a lot. I studied world religions over the years,
Me too.
So, thank you for bringing that to light. Go ahead, Barry.
He was an energy worker, so he was taken from the spirit world into human beings prior to him defining chiropractic.
He was dialed into that world before he delivered the adjustment to Harvey Lillard.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying too, right?
I'm saying it's been discussed and it's been said through the magnetic healers, particularly spirit into matter.
Yeah. Okay.
And it could also be telepathic, but also in person, by hand only. And he was a magnetic healer, right? So when he had those 42 rooms in the Ryan block, and this isn't earth shattering. This is him in his development, right? He did know there was a force through his studies and his experience and exposure and the application of, and then connected it. And here he is expressing it. So we're establishing, hey, this is our lexicon. We're using this. Yes, innate's been used before. Yes, this has been used before. However, we're using it exclusively and we're going to own it.
I don't know where I read it, but this is what I heard, is that when he was doing magnetic healing in the beginning, he would lay his hands above and below the sick organ and he would like pull it out. He would just be like a channel to pull out the sickness. Then he said, why not channel energy. So then he went from pulling out a sick organ, treating the sickness, to kind of now here's our philosophy. He's kind of adding light. He was like, then his hands went from pulling it out to magnet, adding light, and then the adjustment. And now
so that's that's part of the technique, because if you have a problem in the solar plexus, you do a certain technique compared to the head, or if you have consumption or diarrhea.
Yeah, well, I think it was three step. I'm talking about maybe there were three. He evolved from one, taking the sickness out, to channeling the energy to then the specific chiropractic adjustment. And that was number 3, and that's where we are now.
I'd love to be adjusted by DD.
No,
would love it.
Me too. I
don't care what he does. I don't care what he does, how he does.
I mean, just even being in the room, I would like to be there. You know,
me too. You unite me. Unites me.
I mean, if I found his old fork, I would eat with his fork. I mean, come on. I mean, let's be real here. Well, men.
I wonder what he was like when he was like 10 years old, 20 years old. What was he like?
You know,
what was it like?
He was a farm boy in Canada, and his mother died young. He had a rough life. Look up his history. He had a challenging life, like all of us.
Todd Waters' books on DD are really good. I have them all here. They're very interesting. I haven't read them all yet because they're so in depth. You got to digest them. I can't read them very quickly. But he
was also an outgrowth of. Look what happened at the turn of the century, 1890. X-rays were developed. Mary Baker Eddy, all kinds of things happened at that time where it was in the field.
Oh, spiritual field, everything. Absolutely. Well, this has been an enlightening evening, and I appreciate everybody. We're going to pick up on page 7. We read a whole page, not just one line and not one paragraph, but a whole page, everyone.
Have an exalted day, you guys.
That's awesome. You have an exalted day. I appreciate that. One more shameless plug. February 4th, Innate Adjusting, Spartanburg, South Carolina, innateworkshops.com, and register. Anybody that mentions anything about this podcast today, you get in free. Just send me a message, all right? Because I'd love to have all of you there. Whoever listens, I'll give you all time to speak because it's so important. But
hey, are you going to come to St. Augustine on Saturday Night Live? I think
I'm not coming to that
LaRocca, he's an old-time chiropractor, isn't he?
Yeah, isn't he from
Mike LaRocca?
LaRocca.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know the name and I can't think of it right off the top of my head. You hit me with a question I wasn't thinking of. I've been in DD just now.
Anyway, take care, you guys. Have an exalted night.
Have an exalted night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
I like the exalted night.
Good night.